Boop, boop, boop. Yay. So this is the Drupal usability meeting for February 14th, 2017. And we have a few issues to look at. Do we want to start with the views block operations then? I think so.
Yeah.
Kevin?
Okay, so hold on 1 second. Let me share my screen and show you what's been done here. Where's the share screen thing again? Hangouts. Okay, and that here. All right, so everybody see that? Do you all see that?
Yep.
Yes.
All right, great. So one of the things I noticed when I went through the patch that had already been written here was that there were some classes that we could reuse and extend, and that this was creating, that the existing patch was creating all of its own brand new classes. So we have something that does this, that puts things in line, called in core called container inline, a class called container inline. So instead of making this all apply to just this container, to just bulk operations only, I took out that CSS and I extended the container inline class to be usable wherever we want to put anything in line, or work with anything that's inline inside of a container. And then I also use the panel class to get our background. So what that does is it essentially reduces the amount of CSS in that's added. Really, I don't have the files up in front of me to close them. But anyway, it reduces them, and also I improve the usability of this, or the I'm sorry, the not the usability, but the responsiveness. Where before we were not getting the full width, and I don't know why we're not getting full width on other selects here too, which we should be. But inside the container now you get full width. And then one of the problems that I came across was that we have to add margin bottom to this because somebody might do this, right? And when they do this, say if they're on an iPad or something like that, what was happening was that there was no space between these two. They were crashing right into one another. So we have to allow for essentially 3 different things for this, for this, and then for the full, for the full width where they all line up in line like that. So that's essentially it. It did change almost everything about the patch.
So this is for issue 2785051.
Right, sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
So
I'm reminded of a discussion in the product management meeting, Angie. We talked about filters and how they need to be better. Looking at the responsive behavior here, it behaves now, but it's still not looking that great.
Yeah.
So maybe, Kevin, just to be sure, describe the actual change, because I think what we're seeing here is that in that action bar is the main change, right?
Right. So if we go back to the way, do I have another here? Okay, this is going to take just 1 second, but if I
the issue probably has a screenshot for how it looked before.
Oh, it does. Right. Okay. So do I still have the issue open? Is the question?
It's in the chat.
Yeah, 2785051.
No, I don't have it. 2785051.
Yep.
See how Drupal's search is working for us. Better than usual. So yeah, so this is the way it did look, where it's adding extra space on the bottom, and essentially we're doing 2 things. We're containing it inside of a containing it inside of a container, and then we're also making all of the stuff inline, and putting a background on the container and borders on the container, top and bottom. So that's the result. What I would love, I don't want to add to the scope of this patch. I'd like if we could get this patch committed, without adding anything else. But I think what really is called for ultimately is to have the filters and the actions be based on context. In other words, if I have things selected, then I see the actions. If I have nothing selected, the actions are hidden. That's the behavior that people are used to from like Gmail or any other number of things where the available actions only appear if you've actually decided that you want to do something.
Yeah, you were not there, but you were practically repeating point by point the discussion that we had on the product management meeting last week. It's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you could, you close the tab maybe. You just searched for that issue, and the second result I saw was an issue I created that could potentially be the meta issue for better filters.
This one?
Design for filters and books. Yeah, that's a collection of filters as we have them now. And maybe that could be the place to start exploring.
That's a call for designs. Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I mean that's a very worthy, relatively not easy, but not a well scoped design problem that if somebody feels up to it, they will get all the help they need.
One thing that we could do right away with just a small issue, and if we were to open another small issue, which I can do, would be to inline this. Since we've been able to inline this action, why not inline this action also?
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
So I've already essentially done that in the Velvet here, which is the theme that uses that I'm using for all of the outside in. So
that's sensible.
So I can actually copy that code or move that code over upstream into 7 as well. So, but yeah, I will need somebody to code review this this particular patch. So I'll see if I can reach out, and if anybody knows somebody who would like to code review it, then.
What is our estimation of how scary that additional inlining of the filter button is?
This one here?
Yeah, I mean it's rather trivial, I think, in actual code, but
it's completely trivial from the perspective of since what I did was in abstracting this inlining of this button into the container inline class. All we have to do is add the container inline class here, and it's done. It's literally like one line change in the theme file. That's it. Hopefully, but yeah. So I can open an issue for that, and then hopefully we can have that done too. So then that makes everything a little bit more compact, and then we can move to make additional improvements from there.
We could even make it a bit more compact if we remove the space between the actions and the table header, right?
Yes, but the problem that we run into there, you can see in the Velvet theme, is that that's fine here, okay? But what happens when I do this is that now I have the show all columns toggle, so it pushes them back apart again. So that has to be dealt with somehow. It's not a complete blocker to that, but it does introduce a complexity to it. And that goes away at 840 pixels.
Depending on whatever data is in the table, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. If it doesn't have responsive, they're not using table toggle responsive columns, then it doesn't even matter. But in some instances, it sticks that. And then also, not just that, there's other things that get placed above the top of tables, like for example, weights, row weights, puts another little thing up there.
Okay.
So the original design for this was an arrow down to the checkboxes. That's what KJ was working on last year, and that was like putting this line just to touch the table, basically. So you have an arrow, but basically the decision was to scrap that because you can change the layout of the page in views to be a grid or whatever other thing, or a list, and then you don't, and then the same visual clue does not work for those things. So that's why we decided to not do that.
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
but I don't think at the same time that's really even necessary. Like, for example, if we were to do something where these things are contextual, i.e. if somebody selects, then one of them appears and the other one goes away, that could be done with animation that shows that demonstrates to the user, oh, these are the things that I have now. These are the switches that I can employ.
Yeah, that would even be more awesome if it's below the titles or the table headers, something.
Yeah, animation in the 7th theme.
So that's that other issue I just pointed out.
Yeah.
But I like the progress.
But do we go out of scope if we do the floating of the filter button, inlining of the filter button in this patch? Because it's like a no-brainer follow-up, right? If we can do it, we will do it. If we cannot do inlining of the apply to selected items, we can't. I mean, they're the same trick, right, that we're applying.
Yeah, I think we could make it a sub-issue, and then if this is committed, then that becomes easy to commit because the class is already in. The class has already been. I mean, actually, so there already is a container inline class, but it doesn't that we inherit from classy and stable, but it needed some fixing. It wasn't very modern, so.
Okay, so we keep them separated. That's good.
Yeah.
All right, let's hope that some front-end expertise will have a look at it and we can move it forward.
Okay, awesome. So what did we have? What was next on our agenda?
There is a issue. Let's see.
Change passwords.
Yeah. Let's see. I'll share screen.
That is 1259892.
Can you put it in a chat as well?
This one, start screen share. Oh, it's out of the top 10 already. Oh, wait, here is.
I put it in chat too.
Okay. You think I could? Yes. Users could not find the changed password fields. Let's see. It was created as a result of an actual usability test. During a usability test, users logged into Drupal could not determine how to update their account passwords. Users did not understand that the existing password and confirm password fields on the user edit page served the purpose of a password update. The current situation is indeed that if I go to my account, the order of the fields is that there's a current password field at the very first, and you have to fill that out if you want to change either email or password fields, or your password, which is confusing, right? Because these are somewhat related, and what makes it special is that it also is needed for the email address. So let's go back to the issue. The proposed resolution now is rename it to...
Can you zoom in on this? Because it's very hard to see.
Sorry?
Can you zoom in on the screen? Because
okay.
it's very hard to see. Nice, thank you.
Proposed resolution. Upon load, only one password field is visible. Change password is a new title, and we have a new password field. And because it also is needed for the email address, current password becomes visible. Let's see if upon changing email address, it also says current password field becomes visible. So what is being introduced is a bit of magic that if you start to change your email address, the
Your password.
current password is required as well. So that field pops up. And the same goes for new password. If you start to fill out a new password, also the current password will be asked for. And that's what makes it a bit interesting is that Aaron Bauman here did a review of how do other sites do it. And his conclusion was that every single one of them offers a single dedicated form to change one's password. So what you see is that on other sites, you have a link to change passwords under your profile page. And that link takes you to a form that basically only shows a form with 3 fields. What's your current password? And type in the new one twice. That's basically the pattern that we're seeing used on other platforms. So the suggestion is, should we not do that? Which means creating a separate page. So create a new URL, basically in admin, where people can do just that.
So change your password or email address.
And that's, I think, what's not being taken into account here is that the same trick or the same rule applies here for when you want to change your email address. Let's see.
They should. I think the common practice is that they both launch new forms.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Right. So I think that's sensible to have a link on your profile page that sends you to a specific form to changing your email address, and another link that sends you to another form for changing your password. What I'm wondering is that the kind of change we can make in stable, etc. Because it's easy to say, yeah, good idea. Let's make 2 separate forms. Is that something we can do in a point release of Drupal? Is one of the questions I would have.
Because
I mean, we can discuss the actual change, but we have to maybe first define the boundaries of what we can do.
My understanding is no changes to forms, data models, anything like that in point releases, unless it's an experimental functionality. So this would be a minor release only kind of thing.
This would be a, sorry?
Sorry, this would be a minor release only kind of thing.
Yeah, 8.4.
Okay. So, but it could be, it doesn't need 9 to come around.
It doesn't need 9 now. No.
Okay.
I don't think it is.
There is really very little that would need 9 at this point with all the backwards compatibility things and whatever. So, but we don't want to shift around a highly user-facing page in just like a security update. So.
So what do people think? Is it a good idea to change direction here and say, yes, let's explore and let's see what it means if we create separate forms for these?
I do think so. I think that it's a, so while what the person who created the issue is trying to do is functionality that we may want elsewhere, and that might be nice to have, this idea of conditional fields that open based upon choices that users made further up in the sort of decision tree. That's something that I've wanted to add into Drupal for many years. I don't think this is the place to put it in, or that it warrants it. It really does warrant its own separate form because it's a separate task. And that the idea of doing it that way is much simpler. We could get it done much more quickly. It would be nice.
Yes. I especially like it, for example, the reset password email. I know everybody finds it really confusing that you land on a page with a lot of different form items. If you just want to reset, it would be great if you're just 3 fields about password.
Yeah, even for like this dynamic thing, you would possibly not realize that there's some required fields suddenly appeared in the form that was not there before, that you need to fill in among all the other fields that are there, and probably be hard to spot.
And if this is too big of a change, I think in the image what was proposed, even if we do not do the hide and show thing, I think the reordering of the fields is already much better. So if you start with so I think they start now with username, then email, then current password, and then
yes.
So if we want a small patch, I think just reorder it and could go in maybe earlier, and it will be already much better.
But that still doesn't play well with that you also needed to change your email address, right?
No, but there would be less big gap, I think, between, because now username is in between somewhere.
Yeah, that's I agree. The current order is password, email, username, password, new password, new password. The other thing I was thinking that the other it's not a fix, but it shows why this is often a problem, and that's because of our descriptions. Let's see. See how clean the form could be if we didn't talk so much in between. Do we still need to explain that we use an email address to send emails around where we want to email you? That's not the fix for this actual password thing, but it, I mean,
yeah, it shows that's happening a lot here. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I like Daniel's suggestion about let's split this into two patches, one that can get it into 8.3 and one that can get into 8.4. Rearrange the fields for 8.3 and then move the fields into a new form for 8.4.
Let's see. Where did
To call attention to people needing to put in their current password so that they actually notice that bit. Just having something that highlights that area for them if they've to could be a helpful short-term solution before splitting the forms out.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really good idea, actually, yeah, and we can definitely get that in right away.
Yeah, I think that's better than hiding and showing. Yeah.
So what could that look like?
So like a full width highlight around the area that pops up.
Yeah.
Or maybe we can use a little icon. I don't know.
Like an inline form warning.
Yes, inline form warnings. Well, I think the password strength has some icons, right? If you type, or is that not in 8 anymore? I don't know.
The bulleted list.
Not
Okay, I'll add a comment to the issue that reordering the fields to make them the related ones closer to each other would be a good initial stab at this for 8.3, if still possible, and that we definitely support the idea of moving both changing your email and changing your password to a separate form, which are linked from this profile page. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And that's the feedback that issue will get.
In chat, I posted a bit of a related issue. It is about the error messages on this page. Those are also horrible. But maybe that issue can be dropped if we go to separate forms. Woohoo!
Let's see.
So yeah, that's 2455933.
Yeah.
I don't want to hijack anything here.
No. It's
I was just thinking about the same form and things that are not really well user friendly.
Yeah.
So for example, currently you have 2 times the message of your password is missing or incorrect, and it's not highlighted, while the other fields are highlighted. So
yeah, indeed.
so it's not clear that you have to re-enter your current password. It's always also stupid if validation fails that you have to re-enter. Well, your changed password in your. But yeah, so maybe that's something just to
maybe
note.
that changes when we change the actual forms. Okay, good to know.
We can move on.
Is it already a related issue?
I think not. I will add it.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, that's it for this issue, I think. Oops. Let's see. Well, there.
Emily, did you have anything to show around media or block?
Right now I'm working on the media library widget, so I don't have anything to go over right now.
So I had, did anybody else have other issues that they wanted to cover?
There's smaller ones that I'm seeing have some activity. Okay, maybe I'll continue and just highlight two more smaller issues. Let's see. That's another one, a thing that needs design. This is issue 2773205. Come up with a design for highly destructive operations in confirm forms. Yes, we have some confirm forms that are more destructive than others, like the module uninstall confirm form can result in deleting large numbers of configuration entities, dropping database tables, etc. And I think this was spun off from, yes, I think it's a content workflow related issue that spun off this one. And the idea is that we already have an "Are you sure?" confirmation screen that we show for delete and destructive operations, which we use so often that people will just click OK. And we're thinking about what do we need to do for those cases where you write where you want to do, are you really, really sure? Because this will actually delete stuff that won't be able to undo, or you'll actually lose things.
When you click, move the button.
Yeah. So it's already happening in that confirmation screen, right? So it is a pretty isolated place. So it's a different flavor of yes or no confirmation screen that we're looking to have a design for. Maybe, I mean, some additional ideas were already posted.
Oh yeah, checkbox. Yeah.
An extra checkbox like yes, I was sane when I clicked this button. Making it a link is not a good idea. Using more red, and swapping the position is probably also not a good idea.
Yeah, I've done it with extra checkbox. Then the submit button isn't even visible, and only when you tick the yes, then you can.
Hey, conditional form elements. Yeah.
I think that what we did in Acquia Cloud is a second suggestion here. Make them type something that explicitly says delete. I think that we found to be very effective. I recall correctly.
And that's like the super heavy version of number 3, maybe, right? Which is
I know Bitbucket does
extra.
the same. I think if you want to delete something, or it's a common pattern, I think.
Okay, I was just calling out the issue. Maybe some viewers at home will think, "Hey, I have a good idea for this." Feel free to jump in there. Another smallish one. Issue 2794775.
Oh yeah, this one was.
There's data for this field in the database. The field settings can no longer be changed.
I hate that.
Tell me, why is that?
Doesn't really explain why I can't change them. Or yeah, there's already data. Okay.
Why is what I've always wondered about this is why is the field not disabled?
Disabled, yeah.
Yes.
Why can I even enter something if I can't change it?
Yeah.
Because I think if you can go from 1 to unlimited, but not from unlimited to 1. I'm not sure.
Yeah, you could go. It's additive but not subtractive, maybe. But
There was something about that. Yeah.
But isn't it potentially going to create problems anyway? If you change anything about that, even if you went from one to unlimited.
Chris Rockwell, our status page hero, reviewed this, and he tested, and in his case, which is probably not all cases, he found no settings that I couldn't change, though I still got this error message. It would be interesting to find out how, my latest response was, it's at least not an error to go to this page, right? And see that maybe things can't be changed anymore.
Yeah, and then what the patch does is basically it changes the field settings to some field settings.
Yeah.
So it cannot really doesn't explain what you cannot do.
I think also an underlying problem is that it's not really clear from the UI when you're changing a field instance or the base definition of a field.
That is the underlying problem, absolutely, yeah. There's very little clarity. This is like a big, much more systemic problem in field UI in general. That there is no clear separation made in the field UI that is understandable to the user. That these are things that are, like you said, the base definition or the sort of mutable parts of fields, and it's a mental model problem.
And especially this one, the cardinality, for example, allowed number of values. Yeah, it really feels like an instance. Wow, that you can just say, okay, on this instance I want 2 items, and the other one I want 1. Mm-hmm. I see so many mistakes here.
Mm.
Right. So this is
this is kind of maybe somewhat of a. I don't want to get too much in the weeds, but and this is somewhat of a front end question or possibly a JavaScript question. But has anybody ever seen a select in which a choice, an option under the select is disabled, but the entire select is not?
Yes, that's possible. Yeah.
That I think could be the solution then, because you could disable one.
Yeah.
And have to do that.
Kevin, could you post a little comment here that just to give this context?
Yeah.
That the underlying issue here is the object instance confusion, that we should look at disabling stuff you shouldn't be changing.
Yeah, we actually never want to see that message. It shouldn't just be possible, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe we then have to explain somehow why things are disabled. Or read only, because disabled things don't. Well, no, I think it's okay.
Yeah, needs figuring out. Okay, these were the 2 issues I wanted to call out. I also have some homework from Gabor to show to have. Let's see. For core dev updates, to talk about all the interesting stuff we got done last.
Yeah, did someone follow the response on Twitter to the new status page? Yes. No?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, so it's truly incredible. So just a sampling of responses. Somebody said this looks great. Somebody else said nice screenshots, great new enhancement on Drupal core. Wow, just wow. So nice. Great. Sexy. It's about damn time.
Yes.
Oh yes. That's so awesome. Wow, just wow. Sometimes Christmas comes early. Sweet. Nice. Wow, this looks really nice. Looks awesome. Shiny. That's cool.
Any negative feedback?
Yes, I
Status
wrote a blog
page.
post.
A status page that does justice for the elegance of Drupal 8 looks very nice. Thank you, Lord. This looks so much better. Damn, that's good. My mistakes are now much nicer to look at. Great work.
That's a good one.
This is a nice looking status report. This is the best. I think, yeah, those were all the things. So yeah, very good feedback. So rock on.
Yes,
great work.
it was great work, but then I also had a bit of a mixed feelings, like it's still a whole lot of work to get it done. But I wrote a little blog post and I went over the issue because I saw some comments already of people like, oh, I don't want this to become the next status page redesign issue and have it take 7 years. But this one didn't take 7 years. The issue is 7 years old, and I did a little review of what actually happened in that issue, and we actually decided on a new design within 35 comments and like 2 months, which is like very good speed. And then we didn't waste. We lost some time and by happily starting to implement some of the actual design without guidance or an architectural plan for the front end. So that took us 150 comments, and then we got some front end review. I don't know if we're sent back to square one, but it might have felt like that for people. And then we took another 150 comments to get that stuff all correct and right. So the overall time this took from design to commit was like 9 months, which is still a long time. And maybe if we can squeeze that into 5 or 6 months, we can do it within the point release we started it for. But it was good to do that little analysis to see this was not a 407-year issue. This was a 9-month, 300 comment issue, which is like the regular size and length for a hard issue in core.
Yeah.
But yes, we did it. So we should do it again. Yeah, so I was looking at if we need more stuff to celebrate, but that's input for a blog post that Gabar is collecting. Looks like we see. So the first page, I think it's 50 issues. So 6 months and a day. So 50 issues the last 6 months. Not bad. I'll go through those and highlight some. Okay.
Sure.
Anything else that people wanted to talk about, discuss, show?
Yeah. I had so I had one thing that I wanted to quickly run by people, which is a quick question, just a gut check on something that I've got in a sort of a more forward-looking design that you saw a second ago, which is this. So this is the this is the sort of sub-theme that contains the stuff that's the outside-in styles for the tray, right? And one of the things that that has been a problem is that the drop buttons take up a lot of space, and we really need to get things down to like a minimum in here. So I came up with this approach, and I wanted to ask people whether they thought that that is too little affordance, that there's stuff that you can do here. We do have enough operations th on the top of it, of this row, of this column. So.
And isn't that actually what is taking the space? The word operations.
It is, but in fact, in many instances, I mean, yes, if edit were in here, right, then this would be not any wider than that necessarily. But in some instances, and particularly in views, there's 4 or 5 words in one of these, which makes the select, quite large, and it pushes it out off the edge of the viewport. Even with table responsively moving columns, we want to do everything we can to try to sort of make this compact.
So I think my initial gut response is we're already using a triangle there in the select lists above there. So
I was also thinking maybe an icon or something.
Well, maybe that's the same, because it actually is a select list. I'm not sure if this is choosing values versus editing. Yeah. Is it good to make that the same, or should it be different? Not sure. It's very simple.
That's a larger issue, because that's everywhere. That's everywhere in core, that we have both the down arrow.
Yeah, but now there's edit in front of it. So.
Yeah, that's true. Are people going to know that? That's a good point. Are people going to know that it's a? They'll know as soon as they open it up. It's a one-click learn.
It stands out visually. It's totally clear, right? There's the blue add content button, and there's the other blue dots.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think just because that space is taken up by operations, having it be a wider click area just for people's use could be handy. But I think that it makes sense to have them all hidden under there.
Yeah, we can.
Can we align them right?
What was that?
Can we align them right if we look like this? It looks like this.
Working on that, actually. Right now, that's a problem with. So core drop button CSS and JavaScript is very difficult to work around. And I think we can but it just requires a little bit more work. When I tried to do it before, I was able to move them over, but then they were no longer clickable. They were like hidden and then inside of an absolutely positioned div. So.
But I think if they have some space, it already feels also, not part of just summing up all things.
They do align if you go if you go down further. So if I inspect, I can do this. You can only go to 400 pixels wide in Chrome. So unless you put inspector, then you can force it. But if I go to and see now operations is overflowing, but yeah. But yeah, I think it's just going to take a little work to get them to go over here.
Actually, a bit of a different thing about these pages. What I see often is that people click on the title and they want to edit it, because the action that is used most, what I see, is that they want to edit in a screen like this and not go to the page itself.
Yes, I am totally with you on that. And in fact, I think that would be a patch to remove that as the default would be so simple to get in. It would solve so many problems. Yeah. If you made the core content form not have the view not have those things be links by default, then I think that would make things a lot easier for people. Then people could just go into people who knew could go into the view and make them back into links again if they wanted to.
Yeah. Daniel, are you saying don't link it or make it a link to the edit?
I think it may be confusing if it goes to the edit, but yeah, you're in the backend. This is a backend view, right? So I think people are here to change things and not to find something. They're not, well, most often not using it as a search functionality and then viewing their article. That's my experience with my clients. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. But also, Daniel, remember that if this is outside in, and if this is not the back end, and if indeed we are looking at, like, you're looking at your site, I don't have a site here, but if what you're looking at is your site, so imagine that that Roy is your site.
Yeah, Roy is my content. Yeah.
Yes.
That you may want to use this as kind of I just want to navigate to a different node here. That's not the intention, but it could end up being.
But I still think it's maybe less confusing if we don't link it and add a view option in the operations list, because then
the logo goes top right.
Then it's really
left,
a
right?
conscious action.
Yeah. Oh, or you know what we could do? We could do the Google model, which is when there's a link in a document, it doesn't clicking the link doesn't lead you to the doesn't immediately go there. It opens up a little thing that says go. It opens
or edit.
Yeah, exactly. It opens up
like what you have in your Gmail, for example. If you have
click here to go to that link.
Yeah, that kind of gets rid of that problem of, oh, I clicked it and now I've gone to the page and I didn't want to do that. I wanted to edit it. Now I got to go back.
Yeah.
Okay. So no answers there, Kevin. Sorry.
Only more
just
problems.
options. Yeah.
Well, when it becomes part of an actual patch, I think that there'll be more. But I mean, I think in general, I'll move it forward and part of a patch, and then we can see if there's other comments or other people bring up other issues with it.
Okay.
Yeah, and if we make it smaller, can we remove the last table title, so the operations, or isn't it clear enough anymore then?
If we could iconify operations on this, I would love to do that.
Yeah.
I think that would be awesome. If we could iconify operations just at this viewport, which is the max width 600 pixels viewport, that's going to help a lot. It would help if we could do that with a lot of different things in table heads, but we don't really have any icons in table heads yet. That's something that we would have to introduce some code for that's not there.
Yeah. Daniel's busy with his inline form warnings. So.
Inline form warnings.
Okay, people, we made it.
Thanks.
To the top of the hour. This was a random grab bag of smaller issues that are playing. That's also worthy work. So, thanks all for attending.
Bye.
See you next time.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.